Landers, Doug Miles, and Don Henderson. We're just on the air right now. Sorry for the delay in getting you on the phone.
No problem. I'm here, and so are you.
Good to talk to you again. It's been a few years since we chatted with you on another station down here in Sarasota, but I just want to introduce everybody. Great Audrey Landers, actress and singer and producer, and we wanted to have you on because we know you're going to be on the Dallas episode coming up on the 25th of March. Talk about that if you would.
Sure, yeah. It's a week from tonight, and it's really exciting. It's the return of Afton to Dallas. It's a great episode. It's a very high drama episode. I'm sure you'll find a little bit more tonight that leads into it. And, of course, Afton reunites with her on-screen daughter, Pamela Rebecca.
That's her, Pamela,
played by,
right, named after her, right.
Pamela, named after her aunt, and, a very, it's a lot of twists and turns, and it's pretty exciting.
Named after Victoria.
Well, Audrey, I'm here at I'm at the St. Pete Forum and getting ready for the Flyers game. The Flyers, of course, playing against the Lightning here tonight, so I wanted to have an opportunity to be on and chat with you the first half hour. I know so many people are looking forward to it, and
that's great.
I know that the episode that you're talking about has got to be exciting if you say so.
It really is exciting because for the Dallas fans who have been watching, Pamela, my daughter, is pregnant with twins, and so it's a big episode because everybody wants to know what's going to happen, and does Afton become a grandmother?
You're too young to be a grandmother.
They're certainly keeping JR as how he's going to go out of the show. I know Hagman had a great part in the first series and really did a fine job in the second series as well before he passed away. And they're sort of keeping things under their hat as to what's going to happen.
Yes, they really have done a great job, especially given the circumstances when they really did not expect him to pass away so quickly. So there was sort of a last-minute change in storylines, and they did some very creative things to keep JR on screen by finding tweaking other episodes, and it was very creative. Mm-hmm. And my character is a lot of fun, and as always, and everyone asks me, is Afton going to sing this season? And, well, sort of. I do sing a little tiny bit, and it's funny because the fans have asked me so many times through Twitter and Facebook if I'm ever going to release any of the songs that Afton sang on Dallas. And they kept asking me about one song in particular called Steal Me Away. And I was just so flattered and amazed that they even remembered the song. And so I am coming out now with an album, and in that album will be Steal Me Away and another song from the series called Let Me Down Gently, plus a lot of other wonderful songs that have been reproduced from the 80s and 90s that I sang on the show and off the show. So that'll be out about April 1st.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know. I've told you before when you were in studio with us, big fan of the show back in the original airing, and you, of course, a regular for many years on that, and sang on the show, and then I think, did you leave the show to do the Chorus Line movie?
I did. I took about a year off and did the movie Chorus Line, and then the Dallas producers wrote my character back in, so I was able to come back. So I was pretty much there all through the 80s and even in a couple of shows.
You did the reunion movies, a couple of those, didn't you?
I did. I did the one that introduces Afton, who has a teenage daughter in that movie. So it's really, although the new series doesn't really pay much attention to that particular TV movie, they did bring my daughter back, and she is wonderful, the actress Julie Gonzalo.
Well, Doug, you ought to repeat again that we're talking to a local talent, even though we're talking about Dallas and the show, and not only the previous show, but also the show that are on now and her big performance next week. But she is a local product. I am.
I love Sarasota, and it's fun to call it home now.
You've been here a while now, about 10 years, right? Because I think we first met you back in '04 when we were at the other station there when that started. So but you obviously love it down here.
I do. I really do. I think it's just the perfect place, and I loved raising my kids here, and it's just a special spot.
Talk a little bit about, we mentioned, of course, Larry Hagman, who really was the main character that kind of drove the show. Really wasn't intended to be. I think when it started, Audrey, he just kind of broke through and made that character of JR the villain that everybody loved to hate, and he really liked it because of, I think, Larry Hagman's talent as an actor. Would you agree with that? Or?
I do. I think that his talent was tremendous in that he created this character. Of course, the writing was always wonderful, but it was his personality that really came through. And, it's a very, it's a very tough time, obviously, in the series, not having him there, but his presence is so grand, and you always feel that he's there, and he's so much an integral part of the show that although he is not physically there, his presence is greatly felt. And it was very similar, although this has had much more of an impact, but in the beginning of the show, when Jim Davis played Jock Ewing, he passed on very early in the series.
Right. Yeah.
And yet his presence was always felt, and the Ewing boys always referred to their dad. And it's eerily similar in that this is early on in the new season, in the new the redo of Dallas. And so I know that his presence will carry through.
Hagman easy to work with, Audrey, and how about the camaraderie within the unit itself?
It always has been like a family, that show. I mean, really, it felt like a family. The people, all of the cast members got along really well. There was a great sense of humor, but a great professionalism that went along with it, and you need that to make a show a success. You can joke
right.
and make, play pranks, and you always hear or read about those things. But when it comes down to the wire, there's never a minute that's lost because somebody is joking, I mean, it is 100% professional and get the job done, and everyone gets along really well.
It doesn't last that long if it's not well done.
That's right. That's right. Time is money.
I was the underrated character on that show, and of course, you were his. I don't know if you ever married Cliff Barnes in the show, but you were his girlfriend at one time. I always thought Ken Kercheval is really underrated for what he did and does on that show as the villain.
Yes, he's a great actor. He's a very organic actor, and it's interesting to see him work because it just flows very easily, and it's very spontaneous, and you kind of really don't know what to expect when you don't. He's just very spontaneous, and I think that comes through in the character. And now he's playing a very good, not in the nice sense, but he's a really convincing villain, and I think he's a great asset to the show. And, yeah, my character still has some involvement with him, as we discuss in the next week's episode. And I just, I'm looking forward to seeing the episode as well, all put together. And I'm hoping a lot of people tune in next week, especially, so that they say, yeah, Afton was in that show. That's why we got the good ratings.
Well, we'll do our best. We'll do our best to get as many people as we know and listen to tune in, because that's the all-important part of it, the ratings.
It is so important. And, oddly enough, and I think it's a real credit to the producers and writers, that they really do pay attention to all the tweeting and the Facebook posts and things, and they really do respond to it. And I think that it's just so incredible to have that opportunity as a fan to communicate with the actors and with ultimately the producers and say, I really want this to happen. And if enough people say it, they have to pay attention, and it's really nice. I think it helped my character a lot. So thank you.
Dallas is going to be on TNT. It's on Monday nights. The first time around, I know they repeat it throughout the week, but 9 p.m. Monday nights, TNT. And I think the ratings are going pretty well, Audrey. I haven't checked it lately, but I know last year it was on during the summertime. I think it got great ratings then. Now it's on kind of in the the fall and winter time. I imagine it's doing very well. I don't know if you've heard any different, but
yes.
Apparently it's doing well.
Yep, the ratings are real good. Yep.
And you mentioned you haven't seen the episode yet. So they don't show it to the actors and actresses right away then until it's on the air?
No, that's when we see it too, and it's pretty, it's always, surprising sometimes. But I read the script, I acted in it, but I think they do pretty much what you see on the pages. But I think that the filming is really, really excellent in this series now. I think that the series has grown so much with the times, because even though the old episodes in the original series were incredibly wonderful and interesting, they fit the tempo of that era. I mean, it wasn't digital then. And so now with the advent of digital photography, digital filming, everything is much faster cuts and brighter, unfortunately, HD picture. And I say unfortunately because actors do not love HD. But it gives it a really interesting and current look. And I think
Excuse me, why do actors not like HD? What's the reason for that?
Oh, my goodness. I mean, you could see if somebody has, like, a little eyebrow hair out of place.
I never have any problem with that. That's not a problem.
You can't really... Well, I think it's cool to watch a sports sport event in HD. I mean, I think it's really great to see those blades of grass, okay?
Well, Audrey, I'm going to step upstairs for the game. Doug, I'll turn things over to you, and we'll see how the Flyers and the Bolts make out here at the St. Pete Forum tonight.
All right.
Okay,
have a great time.
Next time. And Audrey, can you hang on for a couple more minutes? And
sure.
We'll chat a little bit more with Audrey Landers, who's going to be on the episode of Dallas coming up on the 25th of March for people listening throughout the week on the podcast, coming up this coming Monday. And it'd be interesting. I think a lot of people had it. I know last summer when the original series came back during that summer, and there's a lot of posting about asking, are you going to come back to the show? I saw you on Facebook a lot. How did they approach you? Did they just call you one day and say, we want to have you back on?
Pretty much. I mean, I let them know that I was interested, of course, and but they were very secretive until late in the game. And honestly, the actors don't often have the opportunity to know what the storylines will be sometimes until we fly into Dallas a day or two before filming. And
they actually shoot this whole series in Dallas. I think the previous one they pretty much shot in California with some exteriors, right, in Dallas?
Right. We would usually spend the summer months in Dallas to do a lot of the exteriors. But now the entire series is shot in Dallas.
And it gives you kind of that, it really gives a more realistic feel. You mentioned the HD now and the way they photograph it. It really looks good. I don't know if that's the original South Fork they used, but it looks like it is. I mean, from the outside, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is the original South Fork, and we have additional sets that are built in Dallas for some of the interiors, and of course a lot of exterior locations. So it is authentic.
That's great. Audrey Landers is our guest. Going to be on Dallas coming up on TNT on the 25th of March. I want to ask you a couple things about. I know you travel a lot over to Europe, and you continue the singing career over there with also your son. I've seen postings put up about your son over there. You do duets together and concerts, don't you, with your son?
Yeah, I do actually. He really has his own career that is pretty amazing. And he is just an extremely talented writer and singer. And so although when he was a little guy, we used to do some things together in Europe because I couldn't keep him off the stage, basically. He now definitely has his own style and his own following. And it's just so rewarding to see how he has grown as an artist and continues to, and studies and writes, and he's pretty amazing.
Is the music scene much different in Europe? Because obviously, you're do so well over there with the recordings. Over here in America, it seems to be a whole different shift. Hey, I don't follow top 40 or what they call top 40 much anymore, but Europe seems to still have that type of music where a hit single can still be a hit single.
Yeah, well, the thing was, especially when I first began my career in Europe, the music industry was very different here in the U.S. than it is today, because especially like through the 80s, the music industry sort of turned their noses up at anyone who was on television because they didn't believe that the two could actually mix. They felt, and this I know from personal experience, they would say, oh, well, she's an actress and she's just trying to be a singer. Well, my career began as a singer when I was 12 or 13, actually. I had my first hit single that I actually wrote. So my career actually began as a singer, but that still was not something I could overcome. And look, I'm not complaining. I had an incredibly wonderful career acting, and so I loved that, and I sort of had a dual life because in Europe they were very open to having a TV celebrity that also could sing, and they kind of embraced the artist as a whole. And so when I was in Europe, I really had the opportunity to build a huge recording career with 10 gold singles and a couple of platinum albums, and most of the material which I wrote. And so I toured, and it was never hard rock. It was more like, I don't know what the style. They called it romantic pop, with a dance feel to it as the 80s moved on. So it was a little more electronic, but still romantic. And to this day, I record and release albums overseas, and they are more tailored to the individual countries that I record. I'll record in different languages. I'll record in German for Germany, and I'll do a French single for France, and so the styles are a little more culturally tailored to the countries, as opposed to top 40 here, which goes everywhere in the world. I'm not I'm not a teenager, and my audience is still, wouldn't be buying, pop rock from me.
Right.
So,
and you've worked, you've worked Vegas. You've done really just about everything in your career. I think people kind of pigeonhole actors and actresses at times. Or they can only do this because they're on that show, but you've proven that not to be true. So that's a testament to you, to be able to do all those things. Because I know actors, just from talking to many and hearing interviews, they feel sometimes, they won't let me do this because they think I'm just that character.
Exactly. Well, I think that quite often creativity crosses many, many different genres. And for me, I always felt the need to explore different genres and different styles. And you might be familiar with the Hugabug Club. Remember the kids' TV series?
I was going to ask you about that, yeah.
Yeah, which my mom produced, and I basically wrote and co-wrote. We did 50 half-hour episodes. It was a musical educational series, and it was for preschoolers, basically. And so, my challenge, my personal challenge, was to create a show that was interesting for the adults, the moms and dads and babysitters that had to sit home with their kids and listen to the kids' shows and watch them over and over, as kids do, because that was what inspired me, my own kids, and sitting there and saying, oh my goodness, if I have to listen to this one more time. And so I said, I can do this better. And so we created the Hugabug Club. And it really did turn out to be something I was very, very proud of. It won many awards, Parents' Choice and Dove Foundation and Kids First. And it was just a great little show. And we're actually going to be re-releasing it. It's available like on video on demand and things like that. But we're hoping we'll get it out on another network, because we've had some interest lately, and it's timeless, So that was another facet, writing kids things.
Kind of grew up with roughly the same era, and I grew up in New York. You grew up in Philly, I believe, in New York as well, where there were great kid shows back then. You had some educational ones. Channel 13 was the educational channel, but you also had ones like, remember, Soupy Sales and guys like Chuck McCann and Paul Winchell and those, that did kid shows that weren't, just trying to sell you, a bad toy or something, and they were entertaining and they were funny.
Yeah. Well, this show. Yeah. Well, Hugabug Club really was more in the vein of, big characters, and it really was an educational tool for a lot of preschools and
like Romper Room.
learning
centers. Yours is more like Romper Room, I think, was
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that show. Sure.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So
there's really no kids program, at least on regular television. Maybe one of the cable channels or a couple of those they're geared toward it. But I think there's something missing in television without those kind of shows.
Yeah, I think you need to have a balance. Kids need to be able to watch something that's fun, mindless, and educational as well. And, it was funny because, after having, worked all through the 80s and early 90s in Dallas, I just I had little toddler children in the early 90s, and so I said, I really wanted to do something that was using a different part of my brain, and so that sure was the opposite, and it really was, a wonderful adventure, and I continued to write music, obviously, but in a totally different genre than Dallas or a Chorus Line or any of that stuff. And
I would
now
say
with
Chorus
my
Line is totally different from Hugabug Club.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Were people surprised at that? Obviously you did a great job with that character, but it was so different than what you'd done before, and a couple of songs in there are a little more adult.
Yeah, a little racy.
Yeah, it was great, but it was different, wasn't it?
It was. It was a great theatrical piece, A Chorus Line, and for Sir Richard Attenborough to venture out and to direct it for the big screen was a pretty big risk, and I think he did a great job, and we had, it was a big success worldwide.
Dance 10, Look 3. That's the title. We'll give the song. It has another title, but we won't say it on this show.
That's true. When we did the TV version, I had to dub it.
Did you have to dub it for TV? I wonder.
Yeah.
It's not a dirty song, but it's an adult song. But you did a great job with it. And I saw, I think, an interview you did I saw online where you were a little surprised because you said you weren't really a trained dancer, but they said, well, we'll teach you the dance moves for that, right?
Oh, yeah. I studied, many, many, many months and long hours to try to keep up with the professional dancers who were in the show. And I'm always very proud when I see it because, it was sort of seamless. I didn't stand out as being.
Great.
Yeah. So I was always proud of what I did on that movie.
Michael Douglas, of course, played the director on that.
Yeah.
So that was fun to work with him. Well, I don't want to keep you too long, Audrey. I know you traveled today, but we wanted to have you on and talk a little bit about Dallas. It's been too long since we talked to you anyway. We won't wait 3 or 4 years to do it again. But
please don't.
Give our best to your sister. I know she's still down here, right?
Yes, she is. Yeah.
Judy Landers, of course, and your mom as well. She's doing well, I trust.
She is. We have a fashion collection together, which is one of the reasons we travel so much, the Landers Star Collection, and it's been on QVC in the UK and Canada and in Home Shopping in Germany and Shop NBC in the U.S., so we're traveling all over, and our design team is in New York, so she and I are partners in yet another venture, another creative venture, too, because we do all the designs. Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew you were doing the Home Shopping on the NBC channel.
Right.
I'd glad you do that. I didn't know if you still had that going. That's great. Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, Audrey, again, you can see Audrey next Monday if you're listening to us live on the podcast coming up on the 25th of March, 9 o'clock, TNT on Dallas. And Audrey, I'll get in touch with you. I'll send you a link to this, and we'll do another one maybe when the album comes out later this
month. Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, it'll be. I was hoping to get it out for next week, but it's taking a little bit longer to get all the. I'm doing a special liner notes for it with some old sheet music from "Steal Me Away" and some of the other songs. So anyway, this was great.
Yeah, I'll get in touch with you, and maybe we can do something when the album comes out, play a song or two, and we'll do this one on that. But, Audrey, good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Okay.